Alright guys, this is your host, GR Productions. Welcome back to another episode of Train Terms Talk Show. This is now the 28th episode. I might have said the one about Centralia, Illinois was the 28th episode. That was actually the 27th. So, welcome back to another episode of Train Terms Talk Show. This time we're going to be learning about railroad classes. Now this episode is going to be shorter than most of the other Train Terms Talk Show episodes because there's not really much to know about this because there's only 3 kinds of classes of the railroads. Just pretty simple to learn, pretty simple to learn. So how can you tell the difference between the 3 classes of the railroads? Well, I'm here to answer all of your questions right now. So anyway, let's get started. Alright, well, let's just say that there are 2 ways to define a Class 1 railroad. It depends what country you're in, though. If you're in the United States, like I am, well, in the United States, the Surface Transportation Board, I will leave a link to what that is in the description so you can learn about it. But anyway, the Surface Transportation Board defines a Class 1 railroad as having an annual carrier operating revenue of $250 million or more in 1991 dollars, which adjusted for inflation was $452,653,248 in the year 2012. According to the AAR, Class 1 railroads have a minimum carrier operating of $433.2 million in 2011. Example of Class 1 railroads would be the Big Four, as you can see right here, BNSF, UP, CSX, and NS. Now in Canada, that's a little bit different. In Canada, a Class 1 is defined as a company that has earned gross revenues exceeding $250 million for each of the previous 2 years, which was as of 2004. Class 1 railroads are more fuel efficient than truck transport. And another thing, in 2013, 11 railroads in North America were designated as Class 1. In the United States, Amtrak and 7 freight railroads are designated as a Class 1. So, a Class 2 railroad in the United States hauls freight and is mid-size in terms of operating revenue. As of 2011, a railroad with revenues greater than $37.4 million but less than $433.2 million for at least 3 consecutive years is considered Class 2. Switching and terminal railroads are excluded from Class 2 status, just for the record. Railroads considered by the AAR as regional railroads are typically Class 2. An example of Class 2 would be Montana Rail Link, Wisconsin Central, or the Florida East Coast Railway. Fun fact, Florida East Coast actually used to be a Class 1 railroad. But anyway, okay, there's another type of Class 2 as well. It's called Current Class 2 Criteria. The last major change of the upper bound for a Class 2 railroad was in 1992, which was when the Florida East Coast Railway was changed from a Class 1 to a Class 2. A previous change in 1991, which prevented the 2 railroads, Montana Rail Link and Wisconsin Central, from becoming Class 1, was made at the request of the 2 railroads, as they did not wish to take on the extra cost and paperwork associated with the Class 1 status. Changes since then have been adjustments for inflation. So that's pretty much like current Class 2 criteria, so just a little info on that. Alright, so it's time to get into the short line railroads now, which are considered Class 3. The final class, out of all the railroad classes, this is the final one. So, a Class 3 railroad has an annual operating revenue of less than $20 million, which remember, it is 1991 dollars. Class 3 railroads are typically local short-line railroads serving a small number of towns and industries or hauling cars for one or more railroads. Many Class 3 railroads were once branch lines of larger railroads or abandoned portions of main lines. For example, let's take a look at the Cincinnati Eastern Railway in Ohio. This line used to be a former Norfolk and Western line. Same with the Evansville Western Railway, used to be a former CSX line, which, by the way, Cincinnati Eastern Railway and Evansville Western Railway are Class 3 examples there, so just for the record. Many Class 3 railroads are owned by railroad holding companies, such as Genesee and Wyoming, Watco Companies, and Iowa Pacific Holdings. Alright guys, well that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Train Terms Talk Show. Thank you all so much for watching. If you are interested in more content, hit the red subscribe button and make sure to turn on notifications to never miss a single upload at all in the future. Well, that's it today guys. GR Productions is out.